Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for taking the time to come here to this great event. A wonderful good morning. So the clock is basically ticking against me now, and there's so much to actually talk about. Citrix, the latest technology at Citrix is Citrix Cloud, and if we think about the term cloud, basically it sounds like it's nothing new. It isn't, if you consider it through Citrix. The term cloud is just a new word for something that Citrix is already doing for more than 25 years. The cloud is nothing else than the centralization of applications, desktops, and data. The difference between 25 years ago and today is the internet. With the internet, we have the ultimate network, the ultimate media that connects us from any location, anywhere, with the maximum of performance. Another difference between the Citrix Cloud 25 years ago and today is the fact that we were only able, because of the lack of the internet, to deliver Windows application only. That was the predominant part of applications at that time. We all know that. Since the introduction of the internet and the introduction of what we call the cloud today, all of this changed. It's no longer just Windows applications, it's a multitude of different application type that is coming across. That means besides SaaS applications, self-hosted web applications, mobile apps, so everything we can buy and purchase from public app stores like Google Play Store or Apple Store. We actually now are in a situation that customers are no longer choosing between Windows and Windows. They can actually choose among many different application types. And this is the bottom line, basically, in the difference between Citrix 25 years ago and today, that what we do remains the same. We centralize, we are telling our customers that the most cost-efficient way to run a data center is to centralize resources into a single location and deliver all the applications, regardless of its make, over any connection to any device. And basically, this is what we were seeing already, that the cloud is driving diversity. Many customers, when they think about an introduction of the cloud, saying, maybe I should reduce the footprint of my native Windows apps. Maybe the successor of my customer relationship management tool is no longer a Windows app. Maybe it's a self-developed web application. Maybe I just buy this from a SaaS vendor like Salesforce or many others. So basically, there is so much choice with the cloud, completely independent from where everything is located, that the cloud per se is a huge choice and a huge situation for every customer to choose from. It's more freedom and more independence than ever before. You're no longer tied to just one type of application. But it's not only this part that makes the cloud go around. I think it is also the fact that the business challenges are changing. Time to market, the ability maybe for you to open a new office somewhere else on a different continent in this world within a week or 2 weeks, being more agile with your business, being where you need to be in a very quick period of time. This is exactly what the cloud drives, as the business logic is located in one area and just the content is displayed over any network to any device. This is actually what Citrix does, making your business more agile by delivering the front end of an application that resides in the data center over any network to any connection. Ladies and gentlemen, this is something that Citrix does with a multitude of applications for more than 25 years now. But the difference, and this is the game changer that we see today, until today it was the usual thing that our customers are buying the products, which means they own the products, and that they run it on their own premises, completely on their own. What Citrix is introducing in the year 2017 is what we call the Citrix Cloud, which means, in other words, we are offering our on-premise traditional license model also in a version to be obtained and purchased from the cloud. The fundamental difference to Microsoft Azure in this case is that we are not telling you this expires, please go to the cloud. We are offering both ways to make sure that you make the decision if you want to go to the cloud. that you make the decision maybe saying, no, we are not ready for the cloud, maybe in a year or two, so that you can make these kind of decisions on your own, and that it's not a vendor who pushes you in the cloud, even though you're not ready or either not willing to do so. But what is the Citrix Cloud? Is it the same like Amazon Web Services? Is it the same like Microsoft Azure, where everything resides in one single cloud from a single vendor? Well, if we look at that, it seems to be in the first place, because when Citrix talks about Citrix Cloud, it means the entire portfolio of Citrix as a cloud service. What I can tell you, Citrix Cloud is the most innovative cloud you will ever find. It's completely different from any other vendor. It's a different strategy behind, and you're gonna love it. It's simply because it's so incredibly agile that you make the decision on the degree of the cloudification of your environment. What does that mean? Let us go a little bit into detail on how a Citrix environment works today on premise and how it works if you would obtain our products from the Citrix Cloud. So what you're going to see here is what most of the customers are running in their data centers all around the world for more than 25 years. That's a traditional Citrix installation. We just have up front here the so-called Citrix backend. This is the high availability part that makes sure whenever a user wants to access an application, a desktop or any data, that he can do so. So the backend is nothing the user is really utilizing. He just notices it if this is not available because he simply cannot access virtual desktops or applications. So basically that's the brain of the Citrix infrastructure, and this here below is the torso. This is where the magic happens. This is where the terminal server are running with Citrix XenApp on top, and where the virtual desktops are running, where my Windows 10 or Windows 8 or whatever I'm hosting is actually running here. So what is Citrix now doing if we talk about the cloud? Is Citrix moving everything to the cloud? No, we don't. What we basically do is this. We are decoupling the logic between the backend and actually the application servers. In other words, the Citrix Cloud is not a cloud in the same definition like Microsoft Azure or Amazon Web Services or any other single vendor cloud. What we are is more a type of orchestration of a multi-cloud strategy. In other words, what we're doing is we just keep the backend in our cloud. That means no authentication, no passwords, nothing a hacker or anyone could steal. There is nothing, so you can steal nothing. The Citrix Cloud is more or less a high availability backend that orchestrates what we call resource location. And the resource location is nothing else than a container that holds your applications, your desktops and data. What is so cool about it? Maybe some of you think, well, Amazon Web Service is cool. Maybe I put all my applications there. Others of you say, yeah, I could do that with Microsoft Azure because I like Azure. But maybe both of you say, but I don't trust them in terms of data. Honestly speaking, I don't want to give them my intellectual property. In an Amazon world and in a Microsoft world, that's not possible. Either you give them everything, apps, desktops, data, or nothing. In the Citrix world, you can make a differentiation. You can keep a resource location on-premise in your own data center where you keep your data. You can basically move applications out to an infrastructure as a service provider as you wish, or maybe obtain the same stuff from somewhere else. In other words, we at Citrix believe that a multi-cloud approach is something which is fundamentally different from what you see from Amazon or Microsoft. In this case, you basically give them everything. You have no choice than to say, all right, Microsoft, Amazon, Rackspace, name them. I give you my entire infrastructure, and that means I have to trust you. The way how we do it at Citrix is saying, look, we are just orchestrating everything, and customer, regardless where you run your data, regardless where you run your application or desktop, If you run it on physical servers, if you run it on hyper-converged infrastructure, like HP Moonshot, Nutanix, the SimpliVity technology, or if you run it in a private or public cloud, you as customers are making that decision. Not Microsoft, not Amazon, not Citrix, the customer makes that decision. And whenever you feel to move, that you say, well, there's a better offer somewhere else for a hosting infrastructure, you simply move what we call the resource location simply from one place to another place. So in other words, the customer decides on which type of cloud, in which type of infrastructure his applications, data, and servers are located. The customer is making the choice, and he can permanently change that choice. This is where we are fundamentally different from all of our competitors. Of course, we have one thing in common. Buying a license and getting a license from a cloud is the same thing like as if you buy a car or lease a car. If I buy a car, I own the car, and that means I'm responsible for everything attached to the car. New tires, I have to check it, I have to pay for it. Oil service, insurance, you name it. If I go and buy a cloud license, if I go and buy a subscription, then I buy a result. And the result means I no longer have to take care of the fact, is this hosted on a Dell server? Is it an HP server? What kind of backup is that cloud infrastructure provider using? What kind of backup software? This is no longer my turf, right? The customer buys a result, and this is one of the reasons why more and more customers are transitioning from the traditional license to Citrix Cloud, because it means I pay per user per year an annual fee to obtain Citrix products from any possible resource location that the customer basically decides. The technology behind it is quite cool. We call it Cloud Connector. That's the heart of the solution. It's nothing else than an SSL VPN solution or SSL VPN technology that connects the cloud to our brain, to the back end, to the Citrix Cloud. And this is really without any friction, because we're using a technology that we were already using in our GoToMeeting products. It's actually technically an outbound connection, so that means regardless behind which infrastructure, behind which firewall your infrastructure is located, where you have the resource location, you will automatically have an outbound connection, and that means there's no more friction if this is a environment which is configured with network address translation, if there are firewalls or proxy servers that you have to surpass, as it's technically an outbound connection. It's very easy to roll out such an environment with a Citrix Cloud. What does that technically mean? And this is very important, ladies and gentlemen, because we are changing the equation at Citrix on how application and data access is done. Let's imagine I'm joining you guys. So May 1st, I'm just joining a new company. I'm starting with McAfee. Let's say I'm starting with McAfee, right? And so the IT manager of McAfee, who sits here in Hungary, is told, hey, Fabian is beginning on May 1st, give him an Active Directory account, give him the application, the desktop that he wants, and the IT admin says, cool. The IT admin sits here in Budapest, somewhere close to Budapest, yes. But what the admin doesn't know is that the resource location of McAfee has recently been switched from Budapest to Tokyo, or to Germany, or somewhere else. So what is he doing? He is here on his desk. He opens the Citrix management console. The connection is made to the Citrix Cloud. This is where the backend sits and the management consoles. He's logging in. He is actually connecting to the resource location. This guy doesn't even have to know where the resource location is. If it's on a server, if it's in a public cloud infrastructure, it simply doesn't matter. That guy gives me the new credentials. Besides the credentials, he's giving me the application and desktops. He's attaching share file and send mobile to it, our mobility and file share solution, and on May 1st, I can basically access. Ladies and gentlemen, what we do here is nothing else than to extend the message that Citrix has for more than 25 years. We were telling our customers the any story. Any application over any connection from any device, anytime. This is what we do for 25 years. During that 25 years, nobody discussed what's happening with the data center because everybody believed it has to be in one single location. With Citrix Cloud, we are extending this. It's not just the user who can now be anywhere over any connection from any device. We are telling our customers, you can put your data center on any platform, on any cloud, on any server, wherever you want to. And that means this becomes now a very agile environment where the customer can decide in super fast time to move the status quo whenever he wants. Any device and any location of the data center. And the security is great here because, as I already said, we are not a cloud where we do authentication like Microsoft Azure with Azure AD, for instance, the Azure version of Active Directory. We don't do this. At Citrix, we take the credentials, scramble and encrypt them, throw them against the authentication service. That one says yes or no, and then we actually give the availability of an application. This is exactly the same behavior in the Citrix Cloud. So that means we don't store any credentials because we don't authenticate. That's security purpose number one. There is nothing to be stolen because we have nothing. Customer data puts a smile on my face. The customer decides where the data is. If the customer says, I don't trust public cloud providers, good. Then customer, keep the data on your own premises. So the customer makes the choice and knows where all data and everything is stored. Brokering data, this is the only thing that we actually obtain. Because imagine if you give a user 20 applications and they are spread across 5 different clouds or resource locations, we need to be able to navigate through our set of different resource locations. So technically, this is even a future-proof, security-proof solution because there is nothing that can be stolen and the data resides where the customer basically wants to have it. In other words, we are the most innovative cloud in the world simply because it's orchestration, and I really have to say that unlike Microsoft and unlike Amazon and unlike all the other cloud providers, we do not believe in a single cloud approach. Like most of the IT managers in the world, we believe in a multi-cloud approach, which means the customer never wants to have everything in one single location. He wants to have the choice that he is in charge of that decision and that he can change that decision at any time. And this is exactly what we're doing here. We support any hypervisor, any hyper-converged infrastructure, and therefore, of course, also any public cloud. Is this already everything? No. The Citrix Cloud is the new foundation of everything what we do. Again, we are not replacing the traditional license. We are never forcing a customer to do that. If a customer says, I love that, but I still want to keep everything on premise as it was, all right, we are not punishing anybody. We are developing our products, XenApp, XenDesktop, XenMobile, ShareFile, NetScaler for both worlds so the customer makes the choice and not Citrix for the customer. But we have even more choice. In January this year, Citrix made a very historic announcement together with Microsoft. Microsoft and Citrix were joining forces in releasing 2 joint products. The number one product, and they are exclusively sold through the Microsoft Azure Marketplace, is what we call Citrix XenApp Essential Service. The Essential Service is the kind of terminal services for the Azure Cloud. Microsoft replaced its own product, Azure Remote Apps, and technically you can imagine this is a quite cool thing. So Microsoft joined forces, we were announcing that together, the abolishment of Azure Remote Apps, and the successor basically is this. How does that technically work? This is a low entry solution that means basic XenApp terminal server features, but of course bound to Microsoft Azure. So this is exactly what I just showed you with Citrix Cloud. The differentiator between the Citrix offering and the Microsoft offering is, in the Microsoft world, everything is bound to an Azure subscription, so that means no choice. The resource location is bound to be located on the Microsoft Azure Cloud with a limited feature set. If the customer wants more flexibility, more technology, more features, he basically moves to the Citrix Cloud. And this is not just Xana, that's the same thing with VDI. Microsoft and Citrix are joining forces also in virtual desktop infrastructure. So Microsoft offers Windows 10 meanwhile as a monthly subscription, desktop as a service. The customer can pay that per user per month, and this all located on Azure and actually powered by Citrix to deliver it to any device. So this is brand new, available in the Azure Marketplace. And some more things which are quite interesting, and this is something I really love. If a customer decides and saying, well, Citrix, didn't you just tell me using Citrix on Microsoft is cool, but if I don't want to store my data on a Microsoft Azure environment, that this is not possible? Yes and no. If a customer is choosing Citrix Xen Desktop on top of Azure, we're even changing this one. Actually, that allows us with a technology we call NetScaler, in this case the unified gateway, to make it possible that even a Microsoft Azure customer, which is using Citrix from an Azure environment, can store his private data in his private data center. That means that's actually where the magic happens, where the Windows 10 desktops are hosted, even where the profiles are executed, but the customer in this scenario can keep the data on his premise. That means they stay secure outside the public cloud. This is really a good way, a good approach, and a good offering that Citrix is actually giving here. Share file services in a super nutshell. What is that? I personally call it Dropbox for adults, right? Because it's a high secure solution and it does way more than just data synchronization. So what is that actually? The key differentiator in a nutshell, in an environment with Dropbox, there is again no choice. Either you store all your data in the Dropbox environment, which means in a public cloud. Maybe you say, I don't want that. Citrix ShareFile gives its customer the offering to say, okay, yes, I want to keep it in the cloud, or I want to keep everything on premise. So a customer even here decides, I like a file sync solution, but I want the files to be stored on my own farm, in my own environment on premise. He can do so. So the major difference is data can be stored wherever the customer wants it. The cool thing even here is the data flow is reliable, it's encrypted, and the customer influences and clearly decides where all these data is stored and located. That's a clear thing. A wonderful part, Citrix ShareFile is included in Citrix Cloud as well, so that means it's a complete solution that Citrix is offering. And it's not just this. What we do is we are syncing files, but we go beyond this. In a Citrix world, we have a workflow management included. We support with an app any mobile device, any OS-powered device. So that means if you have a bring your own device strategy in your company, if you decide to completely maybe change that and go from Windows devices to Chromebooks or iPads or whatsoever, we are able to even deliver data there. And Citrix and Microsoft, in this case also, have a great joint offering around Office 365. So that means access anywhere, secure file sharing, that's how it all started. Collaboration, I can work with project teams from different countries on the same documents at the same time. Versioning, documents, commenting, all these is possible. E-signature solution, I always know that if when I just take the parcels that the postman is bringing, right? When my girlfriend is ordering shoes and things like that, and I'm standing in the middle of the door and I have to technically e-sign this, this is a perfect use case for something like that. E-signature and even workflows are parts that our file solution, ShareFile, is actively also supporting. Last not least, and that completes the picture from Citrix. One of the latest kids on the block is Citrix SD-WAN, software-defined WAN. The NetScaler product has a long history at Citrix. Technically speaking, it is more than just an SD-WAN solution. We have a unified platform that includes application acceleration. We are the only certified solution for Cisco's ADC replacement program. So actually, whenever application delivery controllers from Cisco are running out of maintenance, Microsoft retired Cisco program for ADC. Citrix is one of the validated designs as a successor for this. So Citrix NetScaler is an application delivery controller, it's an SSL VPN, it's a web application firewall, but the latest hit on the block basically is this SD-WAN technology. And what is this? I'm quite sure if I would ask here, are you happy with the bandwidth that you're having for all of your branch offices and subsidiaries? Most of you would say, yeah, the performance is good, it's super great. If I would then ask you, what happens if these main lines are not available because of an accident, because of a power failure or something like that? My question would be, do you have backup lines? And if you have backup lines, how fast are they? Can they maintain the same services users are trying to utilize from a branch office? In most cases, we get a no from customers. So the SD-WAN from Citrix is actually more than just WAN acceleration and way more than SSL VPN. It's an ability to actually back up links. So for instance, if an active MPLS link is expiring, not available for whatever reason, our solution automatically detects another broadband solution, maybe internet, satellite connection, whatever the connection types are, and we make sure that even during a full working day, if link A expires, then automatically the other one takes over. Another key reason for this technology actually is the fact maybe you don't want to send all your data over the same connection. MPLS is highly secure, but also super expensive. The internet is maybe not so secure, you have to take care of encryption and authentication yourself, but it's way cheaper than an MPLS link. Why not thinking about to divide the traffic? Maybe there are 5 applications where you definitely want a user of your audience to access applications through MPLS, while public content like surfing the internet, YouTube or other things should go through a less expensive connection type like the internet. So what we basically do is, besides the application visibility and the fact that we can actually route any different application type over the desired link, Citrix makes sure that this is basically happening. Last not least, and this is, it's very sportive in 25 minutes-ish, the secure delivery of Citrix. In other words, the difference between Citrix in 2017 compared to year 2000 or 1989 is, it's no longer just Windows apps, it's everything. The customer makes the decision how his application landscape looks today. The role of Citrix is still the same one like 25 years ago. With our products, we are consolidating regardless in which location you have application, data and desktops. Regardless what kind of desktop or application it is, we deliver anything over any connection to any device from any data center, public cloud or private environment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to my first presentation here. If you would like to know more about it or maybe even want to see a live demo, I'm here for the rest of the day at the Citrix booth, and I'm more than happy to get in touch with you and maybe discuss how Citrix technologies might fit into your environment. Thank you very much.